everybody. I'm Tammy Tincher, one of our Greenbrier County Commissioners. We have Lowell Rose here tonight and Blaine Phillips here in the front. For those of you who may not know him, he's our newest commissioner. We really appreciate everyone who's come tonight to be able to learn more about the water project. This has been something that I know all of you have heard about for a long time, we've worked on for a long time, and we are getting to a point where we are trying our hardest to get as many signatures and people signed up for the water as possible in order to push the project through. So we have Ryan Boustany from Thrasher. Some of you, if you've ever been to a meeting before, he's been at our meetings and led our meetings before. We have all of our Public Service District number 2 staff in the back, Kevin Williams, and the ladies in the back that work there in the office. So we have, the project is set right now for Raynell to Charmco and Sam Black to Clintonville to Alta to Asbury. And it is a $20 million, $230,000 project. And so what it's based on now is the number of signatures that we have to be able to make sure our rate stays consistent of what has already been discussed with you. And for those who have already signed up, we want to keep that as low as possible. And then how far we can go in the original phase, and as to whether or not we can go all the way to Asbury or if this project has to be phased in. And so that's why we're really pushing hard to try to get as many signatures as possible. For those of you who, Ryan's going to go through on the screen here to kind of show you the design and where everything's going. There's some roads we had may have originally intended to go down, and if we have not had enough signatures thus far, we may have cut that road out or gone only a certain distance. And so it really is based on all of the number of people that's on that road who is interested in signing up with water. We will make sure that Ryan speaks to you more about the sign-ups and what is required with the sign-ups as far as the amount commitment for that sign-up and the process once that occurs. So is everybody that's here, are there people who have signed up, or everybody's you're considering it and it's something that may be a possibility? So we just want to make sure we know how to preface this presentation here. But Ryan, I'm going to turn it over to you to let you be able to kind of show the design, what we're looking at. We definitely want to answer all of your questions while you are here tonight. We don't want you to leave and have any questions. So we will stay here as long as you need us to make sure you understand the project and all of your questions are answered. So I'll hand it over to Ryan and let him fill in where we're at.
Well, thank you guys for coming out. Kind of around the room, you'll see some signs and a set of plans. Both sets of plans are 2 copies on each side. If you see your road name on the contract, and you're not sure if you're getting served or not, come find me after the meeting, and we can look. You can also see here to make sure that if you are getting water, you're not. The big thing is sign-ups. We just need to make sure that we get enough sign-ups to make it economically feasible. We're going to try to get everybody water if we could. Again, it's not to say that if we pass you on this phase, subsequent phases, you may get water down that road, but stay positive. And if you know people that are on the fence of signing up, I'd encourage them to sign up. If you sign up and it turns out that we do not go down your road, you do not pay a bill. That contract will go away. So I want to make sure everybody knows that if you're not being served, you don't get a meter, you are not responsible for a bill. So the only time you're going to pay your bill is when we install a meter and water is going through that meter. So I've been asked a couple questions about that. I just want to make sure everybody is aware that if you don't get water, you're not paying a bill. And I apologize, I'm going to have to turn sideways a little bit here. You know, the project is kind of two separate areas, the Raynell to Charmco section, and then from Sam Black to Asbury. I'll kind of start with the bigger section. We're going to make an interconnection by Arby's and the gas station. The line will be underneath the interstate and will come straight through Sam Black. And you'll see the green pins are people that have signed up for water. So every pin you see that's green, we have a water sign up for that. And right now we're about 150 people total between the two areas. So you'll see come down Route 60, I believe this is Otter Creek. So currently we're going all the way down past Otter Creek. And the big, you know, we're passing some people, so if you know them, encourage them to sign up. You'll continue on down Route 60. There's not too many sign-ups through here. And let me go back. You can roll the dice by not signing up. You can, when the water line's being installed and we pass your house, you miss out on the opportunity to get a free tap. So if you sign up prior to construction, you do not pay a tap fee. And I believe the tap fees, Kevin, if I'm not wrong, I believe they're about $300. So you'd save about $300. Once we pass your house, you've got to pay the tap fee. So back to this, we keep going down Route 60. And I believe this is Shoestring Trail. I apologize. On Google Earth, it's Shoestring Hollow. But currently we only have one customer signing up here. So again, I know there's been some people that were interested on this route. Sign up.
That's not Shoestring.
That's Loudermilk.
That's Loudermilk Road on top of the mountain.
If I'm wrong on my roads, apologize. I'm sitting a little bit backwards. So that is Loudermilk. And it's about 800 feet coming up Loudermilk. Continue on down Route 60. And then I believe this is Butcher Lane. So everybody on Butcher Lane is currently in the project. This is Shoestring Trail.
Yeah.
So we have one customer here, and then we do have some customers on down the road. I do know that this is, the ultimate goal is to keep going, you know, subsequent phases. So this is another route to get north. The more interest on Shoestring Trail, the farther we can go. But currently, I have the project stopped here. Past Shoestring, I believe we hit Henson Road, another big one. You can see many people have signed up. So for the most part, Henson Road all the way to the end is currently in the project. That's not to say there's several people that haven't signed up, but this is where the PSD really gets help, where we're coming by the houses and we're not having to lay a lot of line to hook people up. This is a real big cost savings when we can hook people up on here. We continue on towards Asbury. I believe this is Cheyenne. No, I'm sorry, this is Cheyenne. So we come back on Cheyenne. This is L&J. This is L&J and Tuckwiller. So we're currently going down there. Then we come back over past the interstate, past the quarry. We come back through the interstate again, and then we hit Asbury. And You can see the line, several sign-ups coming down Asbury. And then we come up Old Asbury Road, Route 33, and the terminus point of the line is to serve the turkey farm. So, you know, we're not going down these roads, just no sign-ups currently. Kind of, in a nutshell, you can kind of see the project as a whole. And again, there are some outliers, but just the sign-ups just aren't there. So if you have any neighbors and you're around this area, make sure you get them, it's imperative to have them sign up. For the Charmco to Raynell section, I will not go over every road here, I'll probably butcher the road names, but we are tying in at the BP gas station, the Taco Bell, coming down Route 60. We'll have the bore underneath the river, the Meadow River, and the railroad tracks, but you can see there's pretty substantial sign-ups through here. But again, we're still pretty close on our numbers. Is there anybody in this section from Raynell to Charmco here? Are you all in it currently, or what road do you live on?
Deegan or,
Dagan?
Just right past Taco Bell.
yeah, very first street past Taco Bell.
Yep, so I think you guys are good.
I think we're about the only resident that hadn't signed up.
That has not?
Is the names in the charts the ones that have signed up, or is that just?
Yes. We've also asked people for declination forms, and I've got the declination forms from people that have not signed up. But yeah, you know, if you're not signed up, you run a risk of us
Oh, I
not
signed
coming.
up just now.
We just
Okay.
did the paperwork.
That's what we like to hear.
Okay.
And we come back through to Raynell, and, you know, there's several businesses along, Route 60, but the big thing is we're gonna do an interconnection with the town of Raynell, and what that does is just gives redundancy with the two systems. Kind of what West Virginia American went through a couple years ago. We'd be able to serve the town of Raynell a certain amount of gallonage in the event their plant went down, and then if there's any issues with our system, we'd be able to purchase water. So both entities can purchase water and keep the system operating.
You think Raynell would push water all the way out to us?
Yeah, so, like I said, we've cut some things out, and right now, the section that we were gonna put a water tank here, and the tank is for Raynell, the town of Raynell, to feed more customers our way. But we are gonna do that in a subsequent phase, just to get more people water. And another thing, everything is done on what we predict, that we estimate the budget to be. We could bid this thing out, and there could be money left over. All that money is gonna be put back into the project to maybe get farther out Shoestring Trail, or some of the other roads that really weren't feasible at first. But the idea here is we're gonna lay the trunk line, get the water out, get as many people that have signed up at water as we possibly can. It comes down to dollars and cents. If we could serve everybody water economically, we would. I mean, that's the commission and PSD's goal, is to get the most people water, if they want water, to serve them water. Yes, sir.
Do you have a deadline to sign up for the first?
So there's really not a deadline, it's just, you're rolling the dice. If you're on the fence, I would say sign up, because if you don't get water, you don't pay a bill. But if you do get water, you're gonna get a bill. If you're on the fence, I would sign up. It's a 5-year commitment, and the reason we have it as 5 years is because the PSD's going out on a limb. Their money is for 40 years, so they're borrowing money on a 40-year bond. So we need to make sure that people are on the system long enough to pay that off. So the big thing is just making sure we have enough people. The more people we get, the less money we have to borrow, And so that's how we can keep our rates lower.
Could you go over the, funding, cause the entire project is not on bonds and we're
Correct.
financing the entire project for your all's information, so if you could go over that, funding, that would be great.
Yeah, so the project funded through state agencies, state and federal. The county commission, we received a $2.5 million grant through the county commission. We've also received, and that's a committed amount. Another committed amount we have is a congressionally directed spending grant, and that's through the federal government, through the senators. I believe we got it through Senator Manchin's office, and that was $1.5 million. That is committed to the project. We got a $1 million United States Army Corps of Engineers grant, and that is committed. We have a $1 million Infrastructure and Jobs Development Council. That is a state entity. They've committed $1 million of grant money. We are going to ask the Water Development Authority. It is not committed yet. We're kind of depending on how many people we get for our ask. That is going to be for some grant funds through the Water Development Authority. And then we're going to ask for, we currently have $1 million in grant through the Drinking Water Treatment Revolving Fund that is managed now by the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection. And then the remaining funds are going to be through loan dollars. And so that's the idea, that we're trying to get as much grant as we possibly can so we can minimize the loan dollars. And that loan will come through the DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection. So, you know, the district has done some things prior to acquiring the funds. They've done an asset management plan, and what that is they track all their assets, and by them taking that step, it qualified them for an interest rate deduction. And currently, we're going to get a 0% interest rate for 40 years, which really, really helps drive down the rates. So everybody's kind of coming together to do what they can to get the most grant money as we possibly can and get the best loan dollars. But right now, you know, we're looking at a fairly substantial. It's looking at like $6 or $7 million loan. But you know, the more grant money we get, that loan dollar goes down. The more people we get, the less hit it is to everybody, because everybody in the whole system. Kevin lives in Lily Park, and he's had water, and I guess it's counter right now, but anyways, he's been on the system for 40 years. He's going to pay the same bill as a new customer in Asbury. We cannot do separate bills, so everybody is going to share the burden of the utility bill and any increases. So everybody, it's an even playing field. Everybody pays the same. And all that's regulated by the state, the Public Service Commission of West Virginia.
So the average bill is, we're at 67?
So the average bill, the minimum bill is based off 3,000 gallons, and it's about $60. Kind of how we look at things for 3,400 gallons, and that's how we qualify for funds. We're looking at about $67. But if you hook up to water and you use 3,000, the minimum bill you're going to pay is $60, and it's all based off usage. So if you use 3,200 gallons, you're probably going to pay $64. I mean, it's all based off usage. So if you use 10,000 gallons, you're going to pay that rate for 10,000 gallons. But the minimum bill that you'll get charged is for 3,000 gallons, and that's $60. So really it's $60.49.
And would you go over the tap, and then also they'll, just because if they connect to this water system, they will still have access to their well,
That's
but
correct.
it'll have to be separated.
So once we're in construction, the contractor will be laying water line, and Thrasher will have a representative on site throughout construction. And what he'll do is make sure that the contractor is installing things the way we designed it. And he'll also work with with the customers to find out where your wells are. So we'll set that meter within reason on your property line and move it to where it's the easiest for you guys to hook up. So when we set our meter, we're gonna set it on basically a couple feet onto your property, and then you guys are gonna have to run a water line to the meter. And when we're in construction, you're gonna have a lot of people, contractors will do it after hours, some local contractors in the area will come around and give you guys, work with some people on installing your water line if you're not able to do it. So what they'll do is they'll install the water line. You cannot have your well and your service line on the same, it has to be disconnected. And the reason is you get some backflow sometimes, so if it drops pressure, your well water can contaminate the system and then it gets pushed down and people can get sick. So that's why you have to have separate lines. You can use your well to wash your car, you can use it to come into your house, it just cannot be tied into the same line as the city water. And that's regulated by the Public Service Commission and the Health Department. So when you make that connection, we'll have representatives from the PSD make sure that it's disconnected and the connections are good. But like I've told some other people today, if you're gonna put in, if you live in a community and everybody's signed up, you can work with a contractor and buy a bunch of service line and get a pretty good deal by buying in bulk, and then they can come in and lay the line for you guys if you're not able to make it as economically feasible for everybody. But there definitely will be people after hours, you can, I'm sure people start getting out in the community to tell you, hey, we can come in and help you install this for X amount of dollars. But the contractor can, as far as public money, cannot do the work. That's the way that the Health Department and the Public Service Commission have set regulations.
And there will be hydrants
Yes.
all throughout the line, so if you want to speak on that, to the significance of the access to the water for the fire department?
With that, having hydrants in the community will help our ratings as far as ISO. It gives us a dedicated water supply, which in return, if we can lower our ISO ratings, will help your homeowner insurance. I'll work with Ryan on the locations of where these hydrants are going to be. There's a minimum, I believe it's 1,000 feet between each hydrant.
Yeah, it's a minimum about 1,500, 1,000 to 1,500 feet. We typically, if there's not many houses in that section, we may skip a few sections, but yeah, we'll work with Will and setting these hydrants, make sure they're accessible, and then they're in the best location. But the plan is to have fire protection along most of the main roads. Wherever there's a 6-inch line, you're gonna have fire flow. On anything less than 6 inch, we cannot put hydrants, but for the most part, there will be fire protection in the area.
Another good reason for people to sign up.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, fire protection is huge.
So let's talk about Henson Road. Will it have fire protection?
Yes, I have a 6-inch line, pretty much all the way down Henson Road. I do drop off towards the end. I'll put probably a 4 and then knock it down to a 2. What that does is, it keeps the PSD from having to go out and blow off water because they need to keep it moving. If the water sits in there stagnant, if I have a large 6-inch line, it's gonna hold a lot of water. I need to make sure that's turned over to make sure that there's no disinfection byproducts or anything that can get you guys sick. So there'll be a transition at some point, but there will be fire protection on Henson Road, yes. And one thing I kind of breezed over, and maybe I said it and I'm forgetting, but the tap fees, there's no tap fee. If you sign up now, they waive the tap fee. If you pass your home, it's a $300 tap fee. So that's another big benefit to sign up now.
You're putting a storage plan on a storage tank and,
Yes, sir. We're looking at the storage tank. Yeah, right by the cemetery. So we're looking at putting a water storage tank, working with this property owner, to acquire property to put a water storage tank. And then there'll be a pressure reducing valve and a booster station to make sure that we have enough pressure for the system for adequate fire flow.
So that storage tank at the cemetery at Sam Black Church, that'll be the only storage tank all the way to Asbury?
Yes. How I'm designing it is, it's gonna be designed for future connection. I'm looking at the big picture. And so if, ultimately we want to continue to service people and make other interconnections, the infrastructure is gonna be in place to make that happen. I'm gonna oversize the tank in Clintonville, just for that reason. We may end up, go ahead grading the site and put a second tank in. Depending on where we go in future extensions, we may have to put another tank somewhere else. But we're kind of keeping them all at the same elevation. But that tank is gonna be sufficient to serve the area.
That tank would be approximately 100,000 gallon or?
Yeah, I think it's 125,000 gallons. And what that is, it's 2 days storage and plus 30,000 gallons for fire protection. So it's gonna meet all regulations as far as fire flow and 2 days of storage.
And, if you'll speak to where the water's coming from, that it's not coming out of it's not groundwater, it's,
Yeah,
it's groundwater,
so-
but it's not from the river.
The water, I do, and this is a true statement, I was telling him earlier. I do utility work throughout the state, and the water sources that the PSD has and they maintain is by far, I think you can drink it right out of the ground, but according to the health department, we have to treat it. They fill up they have a 300,000 gallon raw water storage tank at the water treatment plant, and then the water is as blue as SeaWorld. And it is very, very good water. And it comes from, it's basically a spring. They have several spring boxes that services the water treatment plant. And it is treated per regulations, but they don't have to do nearly as much as other PSDs. They have a couple wells on site that have heavy iron. I tell the story, we did the project, we went through a drought, it didn't rain for like 5-6 months. The water table dropped, we had to turn the wells on, and where they hadn't been used in like 6 or 7 years, the water was a little brown. It naturally happened right after we did the project. But no, their water is pristine, and we're actually looking at another water source in Quinwood. That's another spring, and that supplies more water than the other two. I believe they have 3 sources now. That's got more water coming out of it than the other ones. So it is really good water. It's not from the river. It's all spring water. And if you ever get a chance, I don't know if you can see it from the road, but it is blue as SeaWorld.
I hear you using the word spring, and in a meeting or so back, I heard the word coal mines.
Well, they might be, it's a portal, a mine shaft. It's not necessarily from the mines. It's a freshwater spring coming from the ground. But regardless, it's treated through gravity filters at the water treatment plant. But it is a spring. It's naturally coming out of the ground. What they've done is they've basically put a spring box to where it captures the water, and then it gravity feeds to the water treatment plant for treatment.
Is there going to be an inspection or a code to follow for the contractors that go from the main to the houses, each house?
So what they'll do is they'll set your meter tub with your meter pit, and our inspector will make sure that it's set per regulations, per specifications. And you could run your water line above ground. Not recommended because it's gonna freeze. So there's no real regulations from the meter to your home, because that's on you guys. So our recommendation is you do it the same way the water line is, 3 feet of cover, So you want 36 inches deep below the frost line. And before you make your connection, the PSD will inspect it to make sure that connection is to code. And you do not have, they physically need to see that your well is disconnected.
And that's something we have to coordinate as a homeowner.
Yeah, when they come and set your meter, before they turn it on, they'll do the inspection then. But they'll coordinate that with you guys, or our inspector will.
How much notice do they need to come out there and do the inspection?
Not much. When they go and start turning on the water, putting in the meters, they're usually there and they can do it pretty quick.
I think the big
But
question,
I'd say a couple days would help.
one of the big questions I got is, that disconnection from my well to you needs to happen that quick. I don't wanna be without water.
And it could, but you can
We can
leave,
have
you
people
can
that
leave
do
your
it.
well hooked up, and then when you're ready to make that connection, we
They'll be there to-
can make sure that they're there in sufficient time. Absolutely.
So what's the potential now start date and?
So, currently, these are the construction plans, and again, depending on financing, this is the project. We are doing a project extending water. It's just gonna be how far, depending on funds and rates. Water is coming. The money is there. We've just got to kind of tighten up some things. And that's why I'm starting to go back through and value engineer this thing, work backwards a little bit to make sure that we can get water out as far as we possibly can. So what I'd like to do is get my funding situated by the end of the year, get the plans and specifications submitted for review and permit by the end of the year, and then submit it to the Public Service Commission probably around March, April. Depending on what funding we get, we're subject to a 6-month review time at the Public Service Commission. If we're successful in getting some other funds, we're looking at about 3-month review time. So let's go worst case scenario, you're looking at,
Another year.
you're looking at,
Getting started.
Start spring.
file the Public Service Commission in March of '24, asked to bid the project August, September of 2024. Once we advertise, you advertise for 30 days, then you open bids, and you have to hold bids for 90 days. So we would look to award contracts November, December of 2024, and then about a year of construction. I'd probably put it a little bit longer for the sheer size of this project, so you're looking at probably February, March, April 2025, where the project would be completed.
Basically 2 years before we actually see city water.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's the big push. If we lose funding now, to be bluntly honest, it's gonna be very difficult to try to get the buy-in from the funding agencies to get water out this far.
So you're saying this is about a $20 million project,
Yes, ma'am.
and you have about 7 or 8 million already in grants?
Yeah, we have, yes. We're almost 50%. Well, no, that's not true. We're about 13 million of grant funds on this, is where I'd like to be. Ultimately, I'd like to get more to reduce the loan, but it's just gonna come down to, cost per customer. And that's the ultimate, point that they're gonna come back is how much per customer. And if it's too much, it'll be hard to get more grant funds.
Now, as you do each phase of this, are you gonna be turning water on as you go through each phase? Or are you gonna
Ideally,
wait till you complete the whole phase, the whole project?
it really just depends on, ideally, we're gonna bid everything out at once. So I bid all 6, 7 contracts out at one time. And then if contract 1 gets completed up to a point, and we've got people tied into it, we can pressure test it, we can chlorinate it, pull samples, absolutely. We did that at Sam Black on the first phase. We started turning people on before the project was totally completed. Wasn't, some people got it maybe a month or so before others, but yes, that is a possibility to do that. And if it's, as soon as we can put water through that meter, that is the best case scenario for the PSD. The PSD is a nonprofit, so the second they make money, the Public Service Commission is gonna make sure that they're not trying to make $1 million. They're basically paying salaries and keeping the lights on and making sure everybody has water and sewer. That's it. They're not trying to make a bunch of money. It's very difficult. There's a lot of months that they're not making any money. They're in the red. Other months pay for the harder months. So it really just depends on the Public Service Commission. So. Yes, ma'am.
Can the rates increase in that 5-year period, or are we guaranteed the $60?
No, it could potentially increase, yes. And I say that because it can always go up. Now, I had the PSD look back on rate increases, and I think they had like 6 rate increases in, it was like 25, 30 years. The biggest rate increase they had was for the first phase of Sam Black, and the big issue was a lot of people came off of that water system after the 3 years. So that's kind of why we've extended a little bit on to try to ease that burden. Once people get on, they're comfortable in the water system, they just keep moving on. But it's just like with gas, with electric, I mean, everything eventually goes up. Again, the more customers we get, the lower the bill's gonna be. But, I mean, right now, we don't anticipate increasing once the project starts. I mean, the idea now is we get our finances squared away. That's why I want to get more customers so we're comfortable, there's no surprises. But it really comes down, you see, once you have the system operating in a couple of years, you see where you're at, and then you adjust from there.
And then any rate increases do have to go through the
Yes.
Public Service Commission. They can't just increase on their own.
Yeah,
The process has to go through the PSC for approval.
So they have accountants, and every year not even with the Public Service Commission will come in and audit the books. So if they come in and they see they're taking in too much money, they'll cut their rates. Or if they don't have enough, then they'll do the increase. But it's all subject to the Public Service Commission. You're exactly right. The PSD cannot just come out and increase rates $5 or 10 cents or a penny. It all has to come through the Public Service Commission.
What's the best communication tool as we can use to follow all this? Because we just kind of found out about the meeting by our neighbor tonight. So.
You could contact me at Thrasher. You can contact the girls in the office at the PSD. They can give you any information as far as the project. Get you in touch with me. I mean, I would gladly come out and meet with you.
I mean, just to follow the progress. We want the water. That's not the problem. It's just to find out how things, the bids and everything. How's all that going?
So everything's publicly bidded. Everything's publicly bid. So on the infrastructure, there's a website. It's www.ijdc.com, and it's the Infrastructure Council. Everything's posted there. So, and then also on the Thrasher website. So if you just Google Thrasher, the Thrasher group, you'll pull up our website, and then there's a link that has bidding. And so if you click on bidding, you'll see the Phase 2 Sam Black project. You click on it, and then you can see what the certified bid tab. So once we open bids, we certify that all the numbers are correct. You could get on and see. But
You're showing us that's phase 2.
so Phase 1 is already completed. That's that got the water to Sam Black.
Okay.
So we're looking at this whole thing. I'm looking at as Phase 2. As far as a way to track it, Facebook kind of would probably be the best route.
We'll have to, all of the bidding and all of the, approvals will all have to go through is this project going through Region 4? And
Yes.
will PSD 2, do bid approvals, or will that come through the county commission?
So we'll have to ask for permission to bid the project. Once we get permission from all the entities to bid the project, we'll open bids. Once we open the bids, then I will certify the bid tabs and say, okay, the numbers match. We'll take the certified bid tabs, make sure we have enough money. We go back to everybody that committed money to the project, let them know where we're at, and we have a thing called Schedule B. It has all the professional teams' contract amounts, what the construction contract is, and all that's published. And then once we're ready to award contracts, that actually goes to the PSD. And then the PSD, the chairman, will say he'll award the contract to the lowest bidder.
I have a question.
Yes.
I got a 5-year contract with you to pay the bill for the 5 years for X amount of dollars. If I sell out in 2 years, before the 5 years is up, what do you bring to, whoever I'm selling to, and sign that contract over to them?
So what we're doing with these is, once you sign that contract, it's a binding contract and it's filed at the courthouse. So if you would sell that property, it will follow the property. So if I buy the property from you, that would go into my name.
But
And
you
so
must
that I would acquire that.
tell them that when you're selling it. You have to divulge it as part of the.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not, yeah,
Just make sure they're aware
I
of
know
that.
that already.
Yes,
After the, oh, go ahead.
no, I'm sorry, go ahead.
After the 5 years is up.
After the 5
you
years
pay a
is,
monthly bill on what you do.
so be honest, after the 5 years, it's gonna be the same as the first 5 years. No change, hopefully there's no increase. I can't, it's an
I
open-ended
mean, you're not under
question.
contract, you just pay a monthly bill. And
Yes,
that's
you just
that.
pay a monthly bill. But technically, after the 5 years is up, you could
Shut it off.
shut it off.
I believe I heard you say something like that happened on the Sam Black project? That
Yeah, after the
they had a
contract.
3-year,
3-year deal, 3-year contract, and some people turned off the water. Yes, ma'am.
How do you come up with the rate? You're saying we're paying $60-some a month, and you look at one of this PSD for Nicholas County pays 40, Rainelle pays 35. How do we get 60 something?
So how those rates are, when you look at those rates, you need to look at, some PSDs and municipalities are based off 1,500 gallons, 2,000 gallons, 3,000 gallons. So when you hear $33, like Nicholas
They're
County,
all 3,000.
they're all
They're all
3,000?
Yes. That's
So
the part
what
I
it-
couldn't figure out from you. Even Lewisburg, how do we get at that rate where we're at to start this out?
Yeah, so how they set rates are, they look at what your previous debts are. So the PSD took out a loan to do that phase, to extend water to phase,
I
to San
get
Blas.
they've all been in service
They-
for many years, but still doesn't take me $20 more or $30 more, and I'm
So
less than 30 minutes away.
they take into account those bonds, they've done Bingham Road, a water extension up Bingham Road. So you have those bonds that they have to continue to pay for, I believe those are 30 years. They look at employee salaries, you look at paying the employees, you look at power bills for the water plant, for chemicals, to treat the water.
But you already have a foot plant that tells you what those costs are, so how did we arrive at 60 based on?
Based off of the debt, so where the flood came through in 16, a lot of people left. So a lot of people are off the system. When we get it, they have an accountant and they'll go through, pull all the operation maintenance expenses.
Right.
And that $60 is the minimum amount to pay that operation maintenance
Then why
expenses.
aren't Rainelle and them, they just went from a 25 to a 30-some a month
So-
water bill, so why aren't they paying 60 to offset what they're
Because-
bringing at that time?
Look at the size of Rainelle's system's fairly compact. So I believe, I think they may have one pump station. They don't have a big treatment plant where they're treating a lot of water.
Right.
So with the PSD, their treatment plant is in Quinwood, and we're pumping water and getting it all the way to San Blas currently. That is a very vast
And it's a flood
system.
system,
So they have,
Not covered.
they have insurance on all the water lines, it's a requirement.
But that's nothing different than what anybody else down the road in any other place that's getting water that has had
Well,
to contribute to
it is different because they have higher pumping expenses. So they may be able to pump it, they may not run their treatment plant as long. A lot of plants are designed to run 8 hours. I'd say Towner
So
right now.
you're doing ours on a hypothesis, basically,
No,
that you're
I-
thinking that we are going to be doing this amount of water.
No, that is current. I'm
Okay.
wanting to do this if we can get, our goal is to do this project and not do any rate increase.
Okay.
So that's the goal right now, is to get enough customers, get qualified for enough grant money to do this project rate neutral. Now, it's an open-ended question, because we gotta make sure we get enough people to pay that. Because the more people, the less debt. But it's the sheer size of system, and the PSD's done a lot of projects to extend water to a lot of people. West Virginia's very tough with the terrain, so you're pumping up the mountain, and then you have a pressure reducing valve that has to restrict flow to reduce the pressure. So there's a lot of components that add up to keep the system operational.
Yeah, because right now it just went from a $25 minimum for everyone to a 33 something back in January of last year. So it still doesn't calculate for me how we're the one that's gonna pay the bigger price. Granted, we're gonna be newer, but you think if it's a whole system this is going to support different places, everybody would be chipping in more money to help offset so everybody could have water.
I don't know how many customers Raynell has. I believe they're probably about 300 or so, compared to.
Well, Raynell's system is completely separate, and so
Saying they're gonna tie into it and be able to support if they need it.
So they're
but
gonna
that's,
be, they're gonna be separate rates, so we'll work at a bulk rate. And the only time we would set a rate to buy water. So it'll be X amount of dollars per 1,000 gallons. And we'll work with the Public Service Commission that they'll set that rate.
It's okay.
But we're only gonna take water in the event of an emergency. So say the treatment plant's down, we would buy water for X amount of dollars from the town of Raynell.
Then how do we come up with a 5-year versus the 3 years that we get?
So the 5-year, we wanna make sure, cause we're taking 40-year money. And we need to make sure that people stay on the system. I mean, we're taking, the PSD's taking a significant chance to
So
take
do you have a
40-year
policy
money.
that tells me the difference between whether we take a 3-year and a 5-year, what that looks like?
There's no 3-year agreement on this, it's a 5-year agreement.
Just asking, because I was like, yeah. they were-
There's no
they were on
price,
the 3-year,
there's
how
no
was the
price
impact?
difference on a 3-year or a 5-year. All that is just stay on the system. But, I mean, but the big difference between the town and right now is just the distance of water service. I mean, the distribution system that the PSD operates is probably 3 times as big as the town of Raynell. And all that, I mean, it takes time, I mean, it takes money to maintain.
What is the average use in a household a month? If we're on a well,
How many people do you have in your home?
we have 3.
3, you're probably looking at anywhere between 3,000 and 3,200 gallons. I have 3 people, I have a 2-year-old son and my wife, and we use about 3,000 gallons. Now my mom, when there was 4 of us, I think my dad said we used about 4,000 gallons, and that was 6 of us. And we wasted way too much water looking back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I mean, you could, you could be cognizant on how much you use, and if you are cognizant on it, you could use just your 3,000, your minimum bill, and
hook the well.
you'll be good to go. And we compare that cost with, a lot of people have great wells, but they don't drink their water, they just use it. But the cost for buying bottled water now it's expensive, and that adds up. And it takes people out of the water business, it puts the liability on the PSD to provide that water.
You wouldn't know the estimate on a well pump going out and having it replaced today's prices, would you? I'm guessing $5,000.
Yeah, I talked to an individual earlier, and they said that he put in, he had to redo his well, it was about $5,000.
That was the whole well or just a pump?
I didn't,
Pump,
he,
just a pump.
yeah, I think it, I don't know how much it is to drill a well and do it all new, but some people's well have iron, so when you start factoring in the power consumption for the pump, changing your filter and any chemicals that you need to add, I mean, it's a no-brainer. City water is cheaper, even paying $60 a month. Because when you do get hit with that bill, you're coming off of a significant amount of money to repair it.
Did you have many people from the Raynell or the Charm Cove area here?
I believe there's only the one today.
PSD was talking to us and, you know, we're on the sewer part.
Mhm.
So our sewer bills will go down because right now we pay $58, is that right?
Yeah, because right now, once you get
Yeah,
the,
on the Charm Cove end.
yeah, we had some other meetings in Raynell for signups for that section, to focus on that section. But yeah, I mean, I don't know the total number. Donna, what's the total number from Charmco to Raynell?
You mean the people that signed up?
Yes, ma'am.
For sewer or water?
150 people.
What's the population?
A whole lot more.
I know.
We looked at, originally, so it was about 3 years ago. We had a public meeting at Clintonville, and there was substantial interest in water, especially on, Henson Road was really big, but they had a really good turnout. But some of the other roads, that didn't go down, was kind of surprising. That more people didn't sign up.
Is there gotta be a certain ratio before you can make?
It comes down to, honestly, you know, the PSD and the commission, they don't wanna raise rates on this. I mean, they wanna keep it as affordable as possible. So it just comes down to the risk that we wanna take to go as far as we possibly can.
As far as a landowner and talking somebody into signing up for it, your land value would go up.
Yeah, your land value's gonna go up, your insurance break on, as Will said, with fire protection.
Come down.
Let's
Everything's
take time.
20 feet of the fire.
That's good to know.
No, it does help. I mean, ultimately, even like you said, if you sold your property, there's a value. I mean, you know, if I was gonna buy property, I'm not gonna buy a piece of property with a well. I mean, I don't wanna be, I'm an engineer by trade, I've been in the utility business, I have no interest in maintaining a well. I wanna be the guy that bothers Kevin Williams at 4 o'clock in the morning when my water goes out, and have him come fix it. I don't wanna be the guy out there. But no, there's a lot, to me, there's a lot of benefits. But everybody's separate.
There you go. That's
Yeah,
a big one.
that's a big one.
There's no iron.
Yep.
You're never getting one.
Yes, no power, you still have water. Exactly right.
So you can pretty much say that within 3 years, the map you mapped out is gonna have water. And the people that signed up now that you have is gonna have water.
Currently, that's where the project stands,
Within
and,
3 years.
you know, we're working with the funding agencies to get that, to bridge that gap. There may be a couple side roads that we're going a little bit farther than we'd like to see. The price per customer is just not there. They may need to be taken out of the project. We'll bid the project, and then if we have a bid underrun, we'd look at extending those. But, for the most part, the main roads you see, that's the project. It's just some of the side roads that may run the risk. And that's why I tell everybody, if you think you want water, you need to sign up. This is the time. I mean, for as long as we've talked about this, I mean, I've been coming down for about 3 years now, and this is it. I mean, we've got a lot of stakeholders in this thing, and we're there. We are so close. We are so close.
And it will have to be, some of the money in the funding process has to be used by 2026. So it will, and it has to be spent by 2026. So the project will have to be done.
That's wonderful.
Is there any way you guys are campaigning to the folks who haven't signed up?
This is what, our fourth?
I mean, other than here,
Um,
because we're in.
Yeah. I'll-
These guys back here have gone door to door.
Okay.
Yep.
The public service district, staff has gone door to door from Charmco to Raynell and, Sam Black all the way to the end of the line to be able to get signups.
And that's why we have to do declinations, just to make sure that we can track everybody. And that's not to say a lot of people, I'm not gonna sign until I see that pipe in the ground. And I'm confident we can get some people like that, but we need to make sure that with the sheer size of this thing, we cannot rely on the people that are gonna say, well, we wanna see it. We need to be sure with these signups before we start putting pipe on the ground. So that's kind of why we keep having these meetings, make sure that you stay out in the community, make sure that everybody's informed, and everybody's on the same page. Like I said, if you sign up and you don't get water, you are not, kind of a rumor that's come up on the last couple of meetings, you are not paying a bill if you do not get water.
You talked about 150 signups and all. I would hope that at least 50 of those were on that Henson Road.
Yeah, Henson Road and
Can we find
Asbury
that out?
Road were good turnouts.
You saw the green.
Can we hear, well, I don't see color. Can we hear of how many homes on Henson Road hasn't signed up so that we, the friendly neighbor, can go and have
Not pointing any fingers and yelling it.
friendly neighbor?
You do it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I'd get you that information. I mean, I don't know.
Or you just email it to them? Send it by FedEx,
I mean, I think really just,
Now, if you
Talking
look
to
at
you
your
then.
map of your area, the houses that have names on them are the ones that have signed up.
Well, I don't
You
think
can
there's
see
names
the
on
ones
it.
that don't
We
have
don't
the
see the
name.
map, there's no names on there.
Or house
Yeah, we
numbers,
don't
where
have-
ours was, there's names on those. In our community, it has
That page
names.
says residents.
Wow, you're
Yeah.
special. How come we ain't got names on our?
on the plan sheet that had names,
Yes, wow.
my CAD tech is very, very efficient.
So this,
Like I said, we're not totally complete. Ultimately, everybody's gonna, I mean, when we bid out the project, it's gonna have in the front, it'll have a customer number and a customer name. Some of the contracts they may have already put in there.
I can show you now on
But I don't, you know, they're not 100%.
there's, what about the treatment plant at Crichton? You call it Quinwood or whatever, it's Leslie, whatever.
Crichton, it's
Are they
Crichton.
gonna have to increase the size of that?
So we're looking at the other alternate water source to supplement that, the need, but currently they have enough water to supply for these areas.
So another alternate source would be what you're saying?
So there's another spring that we would look
No,
at.
I'm talking about the treatment plant right there at Crichton.
Is it big enough to
Yes, it's,
filter all the
yes. So ultimately, if they needed to produce more water, they would just run the plant a little bit longer. I think you all running about 8 hours a day? Yeah. So they're running about, that's a sweet spot where they're not having to pay any overtime. It's 12 hours, or it's 8 hours a day.
How new is that plant?
We did a fairly substantial upgrade, it's been about 2 years ago. So we put in brand new filters, with all new media, new high service pumps, a brand new raw water settling basin, new generator, the whole 9 yards. So,
Cause you don't wanna end up like Bronson.
no, it's a very, very well run water treatment plant. The guy, Stephen Hart does a really good job.
How
But,
large,
you know, to answer your question, just getting in the community and emphasizing the importance of signing up.
Well, I
And
tried to do
debunking any rumors that you may have heard.
Yeah.
What's
Yes,
the biggest reason people say no?
pardon?
What's the biggest reason people say no?
They don't wanna pay the bill.
Some people have good
how
water.
large,
And so, exactly, some people have good water, others don't have water, and they haul it where they don't mind paying for the bottle of water.
how large an area do these 150 people encompass?
Pretty much from Charmco, from the Taco Bell to the town of Raynell, and then from the Arby's and the gas station at Sam Black Church, all the way to the turkey farm in Asbury.
To where?
The turkey farm off of.
Muddy Creek
Muddy
Mountain.
Creek Mountains.
How many feet or miles of pipe is that?
I couldn't tell you. It's an open-ended question, but it's a lot.
No, not for that distance.
But you know, that's another expense of how we got to the $60, was they have to have insurance on every foot of pipe.
I can get there, I just, the difference in the prices were just, yeah, questions.
You know, it comes down to self-help projects. I mean, you've got to spend money to maintain this system, and the PSD over the couple of years have done that. I mean, they've done some rehab projects to where they've replaced pumps and things like that. And in this project, you know, we're redoing some of the pressure-reducing valves. We're doing getting some new pumps, just to make sure that everything's maintained and to reduce outages at boil water advisories. That's the big thing. With the sheer size of system they have, it is difficult. I mean, they're understaffed. They could use 3 or 4 more people to maintain the system, but I mean.
Do you have any idea how many people are actually in that route that you're going?
Yeah, I think we looked at right around 400 people was a
150.
potential.
That's what we're trying to.
That just seems awfully low, I mean.
So I think you're never gonna get the 400 people.
Right.
So we look at about an 80% number. And then with the people coming off at Sam Black, we reduced it a little bit more. And now we're hoping to be around, if we could get to 300 people, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation.
It just seemed like
We'd
150 was a
we'd be
small
sitting
number.
pretty. If we got that many people, I'm very confident that bill would go down. If we added another 100 people,
There's 100 people over on Hinton.
Are you looking at homes
Yeah.
or people in general?
homes,
Homes.
homes.
So we need a lot more shoestring trail in order to get it to go out.
Yes, I mean, we're looking at coming down a little bit. I know,
We need it further in.
yeah, there's some other roads that we do have currently that I know are not gonna be in the project. So we could look at going out, shoestring trail a little bit farther. But like I said, the more people, that's the name of the game.
Am I correct to say there's about 100 people on Hinton Road?
I don't think there's 100 people.
70?
I think there's 70 homes out there.
70 homes with Cheyenne Drive?
That's what we got, 85
I
homes.
believe that's pretty close.
Well,
This road right at Sam Black Church, not Sam Black Church, West Virginia, but Sam Black Church, that goes back through there, I don't know what it's called. Is this project going on that before you get to the cemetery from Sam Black?
That out towards Smooth?
One right by the.
Yeah, it goes around to Smooth. I don't think it is on the project.
That's Sam Black Road.
Yeah, it is not. It is not going to Smooth. It is not going to Smooth.
So you're saying it is not going to be,
So,
No.
He's staying
you're
right
not
around
even gonna look at that?
well, nobody signed up. We looked at
Was
all-
anybody checked at Sam Black Church Road?
Yeah,
Don't get a
Went out
response.
through there and several of them said no, and including some door hangers, and they never did respond to us.
So you can see the red dots are declarations. So there's been a pretty decent amount of people that didn't run on,
Declinations.
even on Henson.
There's Henson, there's your declines. There you go, Neil.
He can't see. Yeah. He can't see.
Yeah,
Not many.
Well, if I can get some names, I mean,
yeah, I mean, every person helps.
Take a look at that map, you probably know who lives there.
Yeah, I'd be glad if you wanna come up here in a little bit, you can
I
zoom
don't
in.
think he differentiates colors, he said there a while
no,
ago.
I mean, you know, a name is what you need, or,
Yeah, but you know
or
landmark.
address.
You probably know landmarks, don't you? You see it, that's so-and-so's place. If you see it closer,
Neil, I'd say these ladies back here would,
Get closer there.
I don't think that.
Neil, I'd say the ladies would probably be willing to work with you and possibly try to get those names of those declinations. If that might be something you would be interested in speaking to people about.
I mean, there's another guy in here, you know, if we have to wait a few more years, it's okay. So if we push it out a little further, it's like, okay, we'll be drinking from the real fountain. You know, so we won't worry about water
Well,
here.
you know, like Debbie said, there's money that has to be spent at a certain period of time, and if that money goes away, we're even in a worse shape. So that money will be spent. But yeah, I'll be glad that we can zoom in on some of these and see, and then we can work with the girls on getting
Yeah,
some names.
I'll talk to them.
Brian, it goes to the office, we can work with them.
Okay, yeah.
He's been very
So if you go to the PSB office and,
Once they get you in there, you can't get out.
Usually you can't get in.
yeah,
Yeah, you can't get in.
no, they can help you out with some names and get some that. Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever thought about any incentives for those who are, you know, senior citizens, that we could cap their price for their water if they sign up? You guys don't,
That's not us. So if it was up to me, and I'd like
I'm looking at
to,
customer
I'd like
to
to do
customer.
different rates for people, but the Public Service Commission will not allow you. Everybody pays the same.
And I get that. My thing is that as an incentive to sign up, too bad there wasn't some way that you could
Yeah.
say, we could, you know, instead of charging you the highest $20 in the country, we could give you a price break based on senior citizens. And they're the ones that need the water the most out of anybody I can tell.
I have West Virginia American Water, and my bill currently is at $75, and they just went in for a rate increase, and it's about to be $91.
Go over that list that you had.
Well, it doesn't even show.
Yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, so West Virginia American Water, so the city of Ronceverte is $77, the town of Marlington, $67, Lewisburg's $55, Alderson's $55.
Is that sewer and water or just
No,
water?
that's just, that is the minimum bill for water.
Okay.
These are all water.
Each one of those are 3,000 gallons.
Yes. So it's all a representative number. And that's, you know, you're gonna see this, you know, they don't take into account geographical areas. I mean, that is going to be the norm. I mean, like I said, I do work in Webster, Nicholas, Fayette, Kanawha, and everybody is right around that. I mean, you're looking at between $55 and $70. I believe the town of Clay is almost 80. It's like $85. They're one of the highest in the state.
You have to look at the distance between homes and,
Yeah,
and there's not.
and that's the same. I mean, that's what I'm
It's
saying.
same here.
Yeah.
The more populated area you have, the less your it costs to put water to
But yeah, I mean, their bill is not. I mean, if it was up to them, I guarantee you, your bill would be $45, $50. But it's got to pay the bills, and it's got to go through the Public Service Commission. I mean, they could go and ask for $55, and the Public Service Commission's gonna say, you're gonna go bankrupt.
You're crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, everybody's gonna be right around that. I know, Alderson's they're doing a new treatment plant and big project as well. So you're gonna see some rates there as well.
I bet Beckley's is outside.
Yeah, I'm not sure with how much Beckley's is, but I'd say it's
Well, they have
probably
huge problems.
$60, $70. But again, yeah, you add the cost of maintaining your system, bottles of water, it all evens out. And you're not in the water business. Well, that's all I have. If you guys have any questions after this, feel free to stay around, ask. And then I encourage everybody to sign up. If you haven't, sign. Yes, and please sign the sign-in sheet.
They have contracts.
They have a contract.
Yes, ma'am, they have, you can sign up, they have notaries, and you can go ahead and sign your contract.
And she may not pay her student, but she pays
If you know people that want water and couldn't make it, you can always go to the PSD office and sign up in the office and write that.